Another round of the college football playoff rankings come out tonight. I'm going to take a stab at guessing the top 12 teams in the rankings and those top seeds. That and so much more. It's your Tuesday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Kane. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen or watch here on a Tuesday morning. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Can't thank you guys enough for being here every day. Going to try to get through a ton of your questions in segments 2 and 3 of the show for what we like to call the Mailbag each and every Tuesday right here on Locked On Vols. This show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Game Time. You can download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the promo code Locked On College, and get $20 off your first purchase. That's over on the Game Time app. So I thought we would do Mailbag in segments 2 and 3, and then I thought I would try to predict the college football playoff rankings coming up here on a Tuesday night. Now, I think it's important to remember, I like to bash the committee a lot, and I think some of it's very deserving, but it is a thankless job. It's like officiating, and I know that's a sore subject today and this week coming off the Georgia win because the officials had some really, really blatantly bad calls, and we talk about officiating throughout college football and how there's a real problem there. But it is a thankless job, much like the people who sit on the committee, those chairs on the committee. But I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to try to approach it like a bracketology, right? I'm going to predict what I think they will do. This isn't, disclaimer here, hear me out. I'm sure there's going to be tweets and comments on YouTube saying, you're an idiot, why would you do this? I am predicting what I think the committee will do, not what I would do, what I think the committee would do. So with that being said, let's try our best at it, right? When you look at the college football playoff rankings from last week, I don't think a whole lot's going to change at the top. I think Oregon's going to be there at number 1, 11-0 on the year. I think Ohio State is going to be ranked number 2 at 9-1. And we're going to discuss the importance of ranking versus seeding here in a moment because I think that's going to have a huge implication for Tennessee this week. More on that in a moment once we get down to kind of where I'm talking about. But right here at the top, this is a perfect example. Oregon's been ranked number 1 the last 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks they've done this. Ohio State's been ranked number 2, but because the top 4 are reserved for Power 4 or for highest ranked conference champions, Ohio State, the highest it could be seeded would be 5th. If that makes sense. So number 1's Oregon, number 2's Ohio State, but again would be the 5th seed in this demonstration. But number 1 Oregon, number 2 Ohio State, number 3 I think Texas will be there because that's where it was last week. Number 4, I believe Penn State will be ranked there because that's where it was last week. So no change in terms of the top 4 rankings in my opinion, my projection. I do think number 5 will be Indiana again, deserving or not. That's where Indiana was ranked last week. Let me double check and just make sure. Yeah, Indiana was ranked 5th last time, but of course seeded 7th. And I don't think that's going to change. They were off this past week. Now, all eyes are going to be on Indiana this week because they play Ohio State. And I'm of the belief, because right now Indiana's strength of schedule is 106th in the country. I am of the belief that if Ohio State beats Indiana by 3 or 4 touchdowns, Indiana's out. Okay, I know the Big Ten is going to be doing whatever it can, just like the SEC, to get as many teams in as possible. But I just don't understand how you can rationalize Indiana if you lose by 3 or 4 touchdowns to the only team you played, Paul. I don't know how you can sit there, and I understand the committee chair is the Michigan athletic director. I don't understand how in the world you can rationalize that, but that is my opinion. I believe Indiana will be there at number 5 tonight. I think Notre Dame is going to jump up because of losses to, of course, Tennessee, a loss to BYU last week as well. I think Notre Dame is going to jump up from number 8 last week to number 6 tonight. In doing so, I think Alabama will jump from number 10 to number 7. They could have Miami there at number 7 and Alabama at 8. But again, I just look at other things and I understand Alabama's got 2 losses, Miami's got 1 loss. So honestly, we should probably flip-flop those. Yeah, let's go ahead and flip-flop those. Let's have Miami at 7 being ranked 7th, Alabama being ranked 8th, because again, Alabama does have 2 losses. This is what I think the committee will rank tonight when those college football playoff rankings come out. And I'll do my best, as always, as I have the last 2 weeks, to put a little short mini pod out there reacting to where Tennessee is. I think after Alabama or Miami, Alabama, whatever combination that will be, I think Ole Miss will be at number 9. That'd be up 2 spots from number 11. I think Georgia will be at number 10. That'll be up 2 spots from where the Bulldogs were ranked last week. And remember, Georgia was ranked 12 last week, but was the first team out because you got to make room for that group of 5. And I'll get to that here in a moment in terms of Tennessee, but I think Georgia will be there at 10. And the only reason I don't have Georgia ahead of Ole Miss is because I personally value head-to-head. And I think the committee will in this circumstance, but then we need to ask ourselves, I know you guys are on the edge of your seat, well, Tennessee beat Alabama. I get that. I value head-to-head. I think that's important. But also, in regards to these 2 losses, Alabama beat Georgia. So Alabama should be ahead of Georgia in this situation too. So I think Georgia will move up 2 spots to number 10. Now, they dropped Georgia down significantly after losing to Ole Miss. Ole Miss, again, we're getting in the weeds here. Ole Miss lost to Kentucky at home. I mean, there's no excuse for that. Ole Miss has the worst loss of any college football playoff team in this conversation. The committee told us last week who you lose to and how you lose matters. Does that not apply to Ole Miss? I don't know. I mean, Ole Miss got rewarded big time for beating Georgia, and it should, but also in that same light, you lost to Kentucky. So why is that loss for Ole Miss no big deal, but the Arkansas loss for Tennessee is just a massive deal? Just a massive deal. I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I don't think Georgia's going to skyrocket back up these rankings, but I do think Georgia will go from being 12th last week to number 10 this week. And I'm not even going to attempt to try to do these seedings because it will get kind of confusing. But here's where I think, unless I'm forgetting something, again, this is the first year and it's new and we haven't done this exercise a lot in years past. Unless I'm forgetting something, I think Tennessee, in my opinion, should come in ranked number 11th this week, okay? Tennessee lost to Georgia, who was ranked number 12. Tennessee lost to Georgia, who's got the number 1 strength of schedule in the country. Tennessee lost to Georgia by 2 touchdowns on the road. I don't think Tennessee should be penalized that much for that loss, in my opinion. So I could see Tennessee being slated at number 11 tonight. And that would, of course, still be down 4 spots from number 7. But here's the caveat here. This is the importance of ranking versus seeding. Say in this exercise, Tennessee is ranked number 11 this week, okay? From the outside looking in, everybody's saying like, oh, that's great. Tennessee made the field. No. Remember, in this situation, you still have to make room for the Big 12 champion and the group of 5. So Boise State, who was ranked number 13 last week, could move up and be ranked number 12 this week. You've got BYU or Colorado that's going to have something to say about this as well. So it's going to be intriguing when you look at, it's the highest ranked conference champions that get those 4 buys, okay? So the Big 12 is going to have a say in this, as is Boise State, who I believe Boise State was off last week, would represent the group of 5s. So if Tennessee is sitting there at number 11, Boise State and or BYU, Colorado and or, let's see here, SMU, Texas A&M, we're getting in the weeds here in terms of some more 2-loss teams in terms of Texas A&M. But those teams would have something very much to say about this. So it's going to get kind of murky here because you got to make room for the next highest conference champion who would get that 4th seed. Remember, Ohio State or get one of those buys. So Ohio State being ranked 2nd can only be seeded as high as 5th because Texas from the SEC would move up, be the 2nd seed. Penn State would move up, would be the 3 seed. And last week it was BYU that was ranked, I think, 6th, but was the 4th seed because it was the 4th highest conference champion. Well, BYU lost this past week. So it's going to get a little wild here, but I could very easily see Tennessee being ranked 11th or 12th, but being left out of the field in terms of seeding. Does that make sense? ESPN, when they did this exercise, they had Tennessee, I believe, ranked 11th as well, but had Tennessee as the first team out. So nobody panic tonight. When you do see where Tennessee's ranked, whether that's 11th, 12th, 13th, or whatever, I mean, you're right around that that cutoff there. You got to remember, though, they got to make room for a group of 5, and they got to make room for the highest ranked conference champion or projected conference champion at this point. So I'm intrigued to see kind of what this is going to look like. I could see a situation very much like Georgia last week, ranked 12th, ranked 11th, ranked 12th, but missing the field because you got to make room. So I think that's going to be the case for this week. Now, season's not over. Indiana, how do you lose? If you lose at all, what do you look like against Ohio State? Florida. Can Florida knock off Ole Miss? That would be fantastic because the Rebels would be out of it. What does Texas A&M do? I think this is next week's game. What does Texas A&M do against Texas? I think that one's not as important because clearly the committee loves Texas, even though Texas has not beat a ranked opponent. Clearly the committee loves Texas. It's already so high in the rankings, last week, number 3. If A&M were to beat Texas, that would give Texas 2 losses. That would help A&M out so much more than I would only see Texas dropping a few slots because they're ranked so high right now. So that one doesn't really intrigue me. Honestly, if I'm thinking about this clearly, it would behoove Tennessee more if Texas were to win that matchup, and I think that's next week. So anyway, we can talk about that next week. But nonetheless, Florida, you kind of hope, you hate to root for the Gators, you hope Florida can beat Ole Miss this weekend. Would love to root against Notre Dame, who plays Army, but I just don't really see that happening. I guess what I'm trying to say is Tennessee's right on the cusp. Tennessee's still very much in this conversation. It doesn't control its own destiny any longer, but I think when the college football playoff rankings come out tonight, you're going to see Tennessee either 11th or 12th, but I think you will see the Volunteers as that first team out of the playoff picture looking in. So that is my projections. If I was doing this, I would have the rankings a little bit different because I value head-to-head so much more. I also value bad losses. So if you're going to penalize Tennessee for losing to Arkansas, you need to penalize Ole Miss for losing to Kentucky at home because that's the worst loss in this conversation. I value Tennessee's win over Alabama. Those are 2 lost teams. Tennessee beat Alabama. In my opinion, Tennessee should be ranked up there higher than Alabama. In the same sense, though, Alabama should be over Georgia, but Georgia just beat Tennessee. So it is a little bit more than just head-to-head. I recognize that. But nonetheless, it'll be interesting to see exactly kind of where Tennessee is in tonight's rankings. But again, I think Tennessee will be 11th or 12th, but I think Tennessee will be that first team out looking in. And honestly, that's not a horrible position to be in because you're very much in this. And how many weekends does everything go by chalk? No, not many. Not many at all. So, all right. When we come back, we'll get into the mailbag portion of the show right here as we continue on with a Tuesday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Hey, guys, I want to tell you about Roy. You need to be downloading the Roy app. You've heard us talk about Roy this season. They're revolutionizing the NIL industry. Roy allows you, the fan, to have a say in who gets the NIL money. And here's what I absolutely love about Roy. You get your money back if that player transfers. Roy is helping us keep our team intact, and it's actually good for the game long term. Spotlight this week on the Roy Player of the Week. I'm going to go with Max Gilbert for Tennessee, okay? He had that dreadful game a couple weeks ago where he missed 3 field goals. He responded going 4 for 4 against Mississippi State with a then career long. And then, hey, he upped that this week. 52 yards in Athens, Georgia, in front of that crowd, a career-long 52-yard field goal. So I'm going to give some shout-outs to Max Gilbert, Tennessee's place kicker. So every contribution counts, $10, $20. It all adds up and is going to help your favorite players stay put. Join me in showing some love for Max Gilbert. Download the Roy app or go to joinroy.com today. Use promo code LOCKEDON. Every athlete from every team is there. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Go to joinroy.com for full terms. Roy, support the players. Change the game. And I also want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Game Time is an app to where you can buy tickets to events in your area, sporting events. Tennessee UTEP football game, last one at Neyland Stadium. Most likely, Tennessee's not going to host a playoff game any longer, but last one at Neyland Stadium. But basketball, Lady Vols, Food City Center, baseball coming up at Lindsey Nelson Stadium, at Covenant Ballpark downtown for the Tennessee Smokies. But not just sports, concert. There's a concert at Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center this week. Comedy shows, whatever the case may be around town, you can buy tickets to those events on the Game Time app. Plus, you can check out the Game Time ticket coverage. The purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You can view views of your seat, the lowest price guarantee, where Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference if you find a cheaper ticket somewhere else. All that and more on the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, put in the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Hey guys, welcome back to your Tuesday morning show. This is Locked On Vols, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Eric Kane. Really appreciate you guys for being here. Every dayers, right now is your time. Gonna hit up the YouTube channel first. Here's some ones that I put over to the side that I thought I would answer. Some of these YouTube usernames are a little weird, or I can't read them all or whatever. So this one's just going to be YouTube user. Okay. Biggest head scratcher for me is why Mike Matthews isn't getting more downs. We are clearly struggling to find a leader at wide receiver other than Brew McCoy. I'm with you, man. I've asked some people when I've checked in all season long, not just, today, why isn't Mike Matthews getting more run? Why isn't he getting more snaps? And the response that I continue to get is like, hey, Mike's got to show it in practice. He's got to learn this. He's got to do this. Like, we love his potential. We love what he brings. He's going to be a really, really good player, but he's got to put it forth in practice every single day before you see him get a whole lot of snaps in the game. Now, he didn't get a lot last Saturday, but I think against Mississippi State, he had 20, 25 snaps. He's been getting more run of late, but I'm kind of with you, like with your receivers just being so stagnant and really not giving you a whole lot, not changing the game. I mean, why not try somebody different? I'm not going to stand up on a table about that, but Brew McCoy is your underneath guy. You throw it out there, let him break some tackles and go make some plays. Dante Thornton, when healthy, is your big play guy. Squirrel, I thought, played a really nice game the other night, but where was Chris Brazzell? Caleb Webb hadn't played in forever. Chaz Nimrod doesn't play much. Somebody's got to step up. Nobody's really stepped up. Maybe that could be Mike Matthews. I don't know, man, but it's in a group where it would be easy if they were all balling out. They're not. So I'm kind of with you. Why not try something else? This is from Tennessee something. With as many bad calls, what does that do for your morale? It was not the only reason, true, but my opinion, Georgia will have a 100-game win streak at home with those officials like that. Especially with how good Georgia already is and the roster and the coaching, they don't need much help. In terms of bad calls, what does it do for my morale? It's just annoying because I'm like you. I'm a football fan. I want to see a clean game. I want to see good calls made. There were certainly a ton that were missed the other night, or no calls or all that. Georgia turned in plays too, guys. Tennessee probably turned in 10 to 15 plays. I'm sure Georgia turned in at least 5 or 6 as well. It goes both ways. But for morale, for me, it's just annoying because it's something else that we have to talk about. When like offensive linemen, your job is not being mentioned. You know what I'm saying? And again, like I said earlier, it's a thankless job, but gosh, there's an issue in college football right now. Again, I'll continue to say that's not the reason Tennessee lost the game, whereas many of you guys will disagree with me, and that's fine. Tennessee lost the game because it was shut out in the second half. Tennessee lost the game because it was outscored 31-7 after the first quarter. Point blank, that's the reason. But obviously, momentum's a real thing, and I agree with that. And that third quarter drive, goodness gracious, man, there was officials certainly were not trying to be invisible on that drive. I'll just put it at that. Trex says, to be honest, Sampson should shut it down. He's carried the team all year long. He has too much to lose. No, Tennessee is very much still in the conversation for a college football playoff spot. He would never do that. No, I'm not going to, I would not do that if I were him. I don't think that's accurate. Zach says, could this loss keep us out of the playoffs even if we win the other 2 games? Yeah, it could. We kind of talked about that in segment number 1. How hard will Tennessee be penalized for losing to Georgia at home, who has the number 1 strength of schedule? How hard will Tennessee be penalized to losing to Georgia at home that hasn't lost a home game? And gosh, when was it, guys? Hasn't lost back-to-back games since 2016. How much will they reward Georgia for beating Tennessee? I don't know. We'll have a better picture of that tonight. But could this loss keep Tennessee out of the playoffs? Absolutely. Should it? No, it shouldn't, in my opinion. Appalachian Adventure says, Georgia made adjustments and Tennessee didn't. Tennessee got out-coached, out-schemed, hardcore on both sides of the ball. It's interesting you bring that up because one of the adjustments that I noticed back on the rewatch that I was up in the freaking rafters, couldn't see a thing in that Georgia press box. Georgia had the best press box in the SEC, and so much is it's all about making money. Rob made those luxury boxes, and new press box, it was nice, but it was catty cornered way too high, especially when you're put on the fourth row. But when I noticed on the rewatch, one adjustment that I saw Georgia make, they were max protecting Tennessee in that first quarter, tight ends, keeping running backs in there a little bit. And obviously Tennessee wasn't getting a rush throughout the football game, so they started motioning their tight ends and or running backs out. And they started, and this is where I'll give Mike Bobo credit, they started scheming up against individual Tennessee players, whether it be a linebacker, whether it be a safety, middle of the field, regardless. That motion had everybody bumped down, like McCoy going off that guy to the end guy, so on and so forth. And they were scheming on individual Tennessee players. And I thought that was a really, really good adjustment for Georgia. Unfortunately, there weren't many adjustments for Tennessee. Carla Jenkins TV says, also, Carla, I saw your comment Saturday night about how there were similarities with Tennessee loss at Georgia this year to Tennessee's loss to Alabama last year. I will say Tennessee had so many more chances at Alabama last year, but they kept settling for field goals. That was the biggest difference in my opinion. But in terms of being shut out in the half, and I think Tennessee was shut out in the second half against Alabama. Similar road losses. Carlos says, what top 3 improvements must Tennessee make to finish this year strong, beat Vanderbilt, and get the tiebreaker over Alabama? Alabama lost to Vandy. Tennessee's got to protect Nico a whole lot better than what it did the other night. That is for sure. Vertical passing, it's non-existent. Tennessee had no plays through the air that went over 20 yards, I believe. Yeah. Actually, I've got it right here. Let me just double check that. Away, big plays. Tennessee's longest pass play. Tennessee had one pass play that exceeded 15 yards, and it was a 17-yard pass and catch to Squirrel White over the middle. So, that has got to get better. So, vertical passing, protecting Nico more, and defending the middle. Because, goodness gracious, that was bad the other night. Let's get to two more, and then we will get a break real quick. Willie the Kid says, do you think Tennessee hits the transfer portal hard this offseason because of some of the holes in this roster with a lot of seniors leaving? If so, what are some of the main positions of need? Yeah, I think Tennessee's always going to be active in the portal. You build your team through traditional recruiting, but you go and supplement through the portal for sure. Tennessee should be in the conversation for another interior defensive lineman. Did pretty well in that regard getting Jackson Moy last year. I think Tennessee will be looking for a defensive lineman. I think Tennessee will evaluate the offensive lineman in the portal. I think Tennessee would like to have a guard. Sure, Lance Hurd returns. You get David Sanders. You got Jesse Perry. You got Bennett Warren. Maybe a tackle, but I could see a guard in the interior that Tennessee would like to throw into the mix. So defensive lineman, offensive guard. Wide receiver maybe, running back if it makes sense. Those aren't absolute needs. Tight end potentially, yeah, because you're losing Kitzelman. Well, you'll have Stays and Ethan Davis. Also, who's leaving Tennessee's roster? I think that'll affect it as well. And then maybe a safety. I would kind of have those right there. All right, and we'll go to Braden and we'll finish on this one before we take a quick reset. Twitter Tuesday. What are the matchups we need to keep an eye on during the final 2 weeks of the season that will benefit Tennessee's playoff chances? Yeah, I mentioned a couple of those in segment 1. Florida, Ole Miss. That's coming up this weekend, this weekend, yeah, because they end with Florida State. Florida, Ole Miss, Indiana, Ohio State, Army, Navy. Keep an eye on Texas and Texas A&M, even though I think if A&M wins that one, that would do Tennessee more harm. Those are some off the top of my head that I can think of. Indiana, Ohio State. Did I mention that one already? Number 2, if you were taking a friend to Neyland for his first time on Saturday, what would your game plan be? Gosh, man, Saturday's a 1 o'clock game, so you better get over there early. I would, if you're in Knoxville the night before, I would check out Market Square. Early Saturday morning, man, I would get over there to Vol Village, stop by a bunch of tailgates. Tennessee fans are the best, man. Stop by tailgates. A lot of these tailgates offer you guys some food and a beer or whatever. Get there early enough to see the Vol Walk. I think that's really cool. And plus the Pride of the Southland marching band coming down there. It just gives you goosebumps, right? Gives you goosebumps. But those are the big things I would do. Make sure you're there for the Vol Walk. for the band as they kind of stroll through there. I think those are big, and just to kind of be down there and check out the scene and everything. Vol Village is a good place to start, in my opinion. All right, when we come back, we'll answer more of your mailbag questions, all that and more, as we continue on here with a Tuesday morning edition of Locked On Vols. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot coals just to save a few bucks, okay? It's got to be easy, no hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out it really is the easy way to get wireless for only $15 a month. The longest part of the process was the time I spent on hold waiting to break up with my old provider. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. There you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are only $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts. Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service at $15 a month. To get the new customer offer, your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. That's mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/lockedoncollege. $45 up front, payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower than 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes and fees and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for more details. All right, guys, we got a final segment left here of this mailbag portion of the show, Tuesday morning, free and available wherever you get your podcast. Tell a friend and subscribe to the channel if you would, please. Let's help build this show up for more and more Tennessee fans. Still so much on the line, guys. The Volunteers very much in that college football playoff conversation. Where will they stack in tonight's college football playoff rankings? We'll find out. And I'll have a quick reaction video, mini podcast coming up later tonight on just that. All right, let's go to Matt Shelby. Twitter Tuesday. Is it time to move on from Kelsey Pope? Great recruiter, and I'm sure the players love him, but it is absolutely mind-boggling the lack of progression from the wide receivers for 2 years now. A Tennessee wide receiver has surpassed 100 yards in a ball game this year 2 times. One was Thornton against Chattanooga. The second was Thornton against Kentucky. I'm sure that's something to be evaluated in the offseason. We'll see. To your point, as you pointed out right there, Kelsey Pope has done a great job recruiting. He really has. And let's not forget the development from Jalen Hyatt. Kelsey Pope played a huge role in that, and also getting Ramel Keaton ready to go a couple years ago. Kelsey Pope was instrumental with Cedric Tillman as well. So I think those are important things to remember, but also, that position group has got to be better. So we'll see if there's any staff movement this offseason, but that position group needs to play better. There's no doubt about that. Let's go to Shane. How many future NFL starters do we have on this roster? Good question. I would have never thought Juwan Jennings would have been an NFL starter, just to be honest with you, even though he's a dog. There's a couple of others that I never thought would be NFL starters. But on this team right now, defensive line's hard to predict because obviously I think Amari Thomas and some of those guys are going to be on rosters. James Pierce is a future NFL guy, starter in my opinion. Jamal McCoy is a future NFL starter in my opinion. We'll see how he continues to progress, but we'll see about Nico. Dylan Sampson, I don't know. Starter, I don't know, but NFL guy for sure. Miles Kitselman's going to be an NFL guy. I don't know about starter. So right now, I guess the numbers like that I can sit here and say who I think will be a starter in the National Football League right now. I would say James Pierce, Jamal McCoy. Yeah, I think that'd be it right now. Of course. Again, Nico's got a lot of football in front of him. Let's see how he progresses. And a lot of these guys will be in the NFL. I don't know about starters. Any other ones that you guys have added to that conversation, please let me know. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody as well. Vol and Archie, twice has happened. I thought it was definitely a dirty, but not sure if it was legal. Once on a punt and another time when Nico dropped back for a pass. A defender came and knocked our lineman flat on his butt. Not going to say what you said. While he was engaged with another player. Is this legal? Technically, I don't know if it's legal or not, but I don't remember on the punt, but I remember on the play where Nico dropped back and it was as a linebacker. He was man-to-man coverage with Dylan Sampson on the. I think if I'm remembering this correctly, Sampson Tennessee's running back went over to the right to help out with the engaged defensive lineman that the offensive lineman was blocking. That linebacker was man-to-man coverage with Tennessee's running back. So you're taught to go wrap up, right? Go wrap up. Well, since the running back was going over in that direction, the guy just came and just, hit Tennessee's guy. I mean, to me, it's football, not a big deal. I don't know technically if that's against the rules. I don't think it is, but I chalk it up to more as it's just a football play. But at least on the one where it happened on Tennessee's offensive side, that linebacker had man-to-man coverage with the running back. The running back was going over there to help with pass pro, so he just went and took an offensive lineman out. James says, haven't had a chance to ask you about fall practice and the fall games wrapping up. What's your projected lineup as of today? Personally, I think you got to start Antigua at shortstop for his glove. Next week, I'll ask about in-depth pitching. All right, so I'm not going to go batting order, but right now on November the 19th, I will go, and don't hold me to this, Reese Chapman in right, Hunter Inslee in center. Give me Jay Abernathy in left, the freshman. At first base, give me Dalton Bargo. Second base, Gavin Keelan. Shortstop, Dean Curley. Third base, Andrew Fisher. I could very easily see at some point, especially if the defense isn't there, Fisher DH, Antigua short, Antigua short, Dean third, and Keelan at second. But of course, all three of those guys can play all three of those positions. Catcher is, of course, Cannon. Yeah, so that's my defensive positioning there. Alex Perry is an option at first base. Stone Wallace, backup catcher, is an option at first base. But on November the 19th, that's kind of where I'll go for now. Got a couple more. I'm going to run through these guys as quickly as I can. Justin says, what's the biggest reason for Heupel losing to one terrible team per year? Beats me, man. I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, and I'm sorry. Football's hard. Football's hard to play on the road. Look at Tennessee's record at home. Look at Georgia's record at home. Look at Bama's record at home for the most part. Football's hard to play on the road in this league. That's true. Ricky says, are we still back? Depends on how you want to phrase back. National contenders, in my opinion, if you're in the playoffs, you're a national contender. Tennessee's very much in this conversation for the playoffs. So, yeah. Remember the 15 years of purgatory you were in, right? Tennessee has a real chance to have double-digit wins in 2 of the last 3 years, with 2 wins over Florida and 2 wins over Alabama. So, yes, I would say Tennessee is back, still back. That's how I would answer that. Let's see here. We'll go to Kurt. Had the Vols beaten Georgia, would you play Nico, Sampson, Pierce at all against UTEP? They have to win now for style points, but knowing the backups can beat UTEP and knowing Vandy was the game you need for the playoffs, SEC title game, just curious what you think they would have done. I think either way those guys would play, and I think that's how you approach it this week against UTEP. Tennessee should beat this team by 50. Get in, handle your business, and then get out. Remember way back when against UTC, against NC State, against Kent State, Tennessee was up so much that, at least against Kent State and UTC, Nico and Dylan Sampson didn't play in the second half. Hello, do that this week, right? Get in, get out, and to handle your business. That's how I would approach that, and I think Tennessee can do that and win in style as well. Let's see here. Let's go to Rob. Do you think this offense has become a little too predictable? Yes, they still get guys open down the field sometimes, but it seems like they are not they're not scheming up new things to get the tight end open or running backs out of the backfield into the flats, rub routes, etc. Or is it because we have seen it for 4 years and it looks the same to us? No, I think at times this is getting too predictable. I think Tennessee is a second down running football team, and I think that's so predictable. I think there needs to be some more wrinkles. I think Tennessee's adjustments in game have not been the best this year. I think Tennessee's game plans have been pretty neat, and they've had some different wrinkles in that regard. But, we're not seeing a whole lot of switch routes this year. I think a lot of that has to do with protection, though, because for the most part, Nico's not been protected this year like he should. So that's kind of how I'd answer that. And we're going to end on this one here from Noah. Hey, Eric, was wondering how you feel about Heupel, the way he handles questions about penalties. Personally, I like it. Says a lot without saying anything at all or getting fined. Yeah, I'm sure everybody saw the video of Heupel, kind of saying we repeat that and turn the microphone around for the reporter to talk there. Remember last year, he was just kind of silent. So, I mean, obviously everybody knows he's displeased. Heupel doesn't want to get fined. Also, you don't want to say some stuff because you're going to see that crew again at some point, right? But I think at some point, Kirby Smart said whatever he wanted to after that game against Texas, and there was no fine. The athletic director from Utah pretty much said that the officials stole that game from him a couple weeks ago. I don't know if there was a fine there. At some point, just do it, take the fine, and move on. I think some things are a little bit more important. You don't want to make a habit out of it, but until somebody's fined, I say keep trying it, in my opinion. I say try it and test your luck. That's just my opinion because I think some of the officiating has just been that bad in college football this year. So that's how I'd answer that. All right, guys, appreciate you. If I didn't get to your question, I do apologize. I'm running behind here on a Tuesday, but we'll have Josh Ward tomorrow for Ward Wednesday. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you, as always, for making Locked On Vols your first listen and your first watch. Tell your friends. Please subscribe to the channel. We'll be back tomorrow morning, late tonight or tomorrow morning, a quick mini podcast reacting to Tennessee in the rankings, and, of course, your normal Wednesday show. All that and more is coming up right here on Locked On Vols.